in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Marquita Blade Show, Candid Conversations that Create Change. Today we are discussing education and entrepreneurship. Do degrees still matter? I'm joined by my panel of entrepreneurs who are going to help me explore this topic very candidly. I have Dr. Arkeria Wright, Ms. Tawana Randall, Dr. Lakeisha Dixon, and Mr. Wes Walters. I'd like to jump right in by asking each of you what led you to entrepreneurship. And we'll start with you, Dr. Wright.
Entrepreneurship was something that I was kind of thrown into. Going to school to receive my doctorate degree in teaching and learning, I started to infuse entrepreneurship within my lessons and the arts as well. A lot of the kids started to thrive with my talk about the nonprofit that I was going to start. And so in starting the nonprofit within the classroom, the kids were able to take a part in starting the nonprofit, who would be our audience, who would we serve, how would that be best implemented within even our lessons. We would incorporate that. So entrepreneurship came into play just for the need to service the children, not only in the school, but also outside of the school.
Okay, very interesting.
I probably say the same thing. I was thrown into entrepreneurship. Worked all my life, worked for someone else all my life in corporate America. Went to school, got the degrees, and then just decided that working was not for me. Still trying to get out of the corporate America, and 2018 is my year. But it was just, I totally believe that it's not for everybody. And I'm that one person, that few people that is not for everybody. Yeah. It's not for me.
And I think for me, being an educator and being in different school systems and different things like that, I've kind of got tired of the red tape and the political aspect of being working in someone else's setting. And so for me, the thing that motivated me the most was being able to be my own boss and not having to go through so much red tape to get things done. And so that was the ultimate motivator for me.
I think for me, the motivation was I came from a long line of entrepreneurs. My aunts, my dad had never worked for anyone, and not only that, but when I got out of undergrad, while we were in school, that was just the culture, that was the talk. Like, when we get out, we're going to be bosses. It was never, no one ever wanted to get a job. Like, I mean, the circle that I was in, it was just understood that we get a degree and we're here to build alliances for these 4 years, but after this, we're gonna be bosses. It was never, and I hear sometimes people, it puzzles me sometimes when I hear people go to school and be like, well, I want to get a good job. That was never the dialogue in my circle. I don't know, maybe we were special, but it was always, I want to get a degree to be a boss. And so coming from the line of entrepreneurs as well, that was just the default setting. You're gonna come out and be a boss. And for me, I think what really drove me towards it is experiencing working for someone and then experiencing not working for someone. And that one key thing is time freedom. Mm-hmm. Once I got a taste of time freedom, it's
no turning back.
It's
Goodness.
Like recently I was in Cleveland and I was offered a job from the client that used me as a subcontractor. And I listened to him talk, First of all, I looked at it from two different angles. I said, well, obviously I add value to something to the marketplace for him to even consider me. But then I looked at it like, for the conversation to even begin, we have to start at 120. And I know they're not going to pay me 120. Right. Simply not because of my worth, or simply because this is what I equate time freedom equates to. Like, okay, well, for me to give up my time freedom for maybe a year, I'll do this for a year. They might not know that, but it would be like 120, for the conversation to even begin. So time freedom was the anchor that has me as an entrepreneur all these years.
I think my own journey is a combination of the four of you. I'm an educator as well for 16 years, and my goal during that time was, if I could just finish my doctorate, and I'll be earning close to six figures as an educator, and then I'll feel better about everything. And then you really don't, because you don't have the time freedom, and then you have all the red tape in education, so you can't really work with the students the way that you want to. And so I've been a full-time entrepreneur for a full year now. And Wes, there have been days when maybe my business wasn't going the way that I wanted it to, so I start to look at jobs. But when I look at the salaries, I just think I wouldn't even leave my house for this.
Exactly.
So I get it now. I get it now, the whole, how much money would it take for me to give up controlling my day every day? And it would take a whole lot of money for me to give up that freedom. So, Dr. Wright, I want to start with you. When you were pursuing your doctorate, you realized that you wanted to move into entrepreneurship. So at any point, did you feel like there was a contradiction in you finishing the degree and getting started in business?
Well, for the most part, I've always looked at the degree as a foundation for me. Not all the time have I had a circle of people around me that understood what entrepreneurship was, what it meant, even for our community, the Black community as a whole. So just having that structural foundation around me to say, okay, this is expected for you within the school realm. It helped me to grow and understand and gain confidence in what I was about to embark in. So for me, earning the degree was more so the learning steps I needed to take in order for me to understand how I can apply the knowledge that I had learned within the degree, and then moving into entrepreneurship. So it's more so education than the actual degree. I feel like some kids are not self-starters, they're not self-learners, and going to college and earning a degree gives them a foundation where they can continue to be disciplined enough to then know the commitment necessary to be a boss at the end. My kids also get the lessons. You're going to be a boss. My son is a boss, my daughter is a boss, and I instill, keep your grades up, get in your honor program, even if we have to take additional courses so that you can graduate early, but you're going to continue to run your businesses, and you're going to come out of college as a boss. And I never received that lesson growing up. So the degree and the education, I separate the two, because I feel like even if you do not go to college, you can still self-educate and get the necessary tools you need to become a boss as well. So, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. So, Ms. Randall.
Yes.
How do you emphasize the importance of getting an education, a formal education, and then balance that with the benefits of entrepreneurship for your kids?
For mine, I definitely instill in them having your own is the way to go. I didn't have that growing up. Nowhere, no round in Dade County of Miami was someone who owned their own business. I didn't have those type of people around me. So everything in me, all of my aunts, uncles, they were all teachers. So of course it was go to school. You have to go to school. You have to go to college. You have to do this. So it was never that option that I knew, when I was growing up, that you could have that option to have your own and have your own business. So that part of me came later on, going to college and seeing different things and moving away from Miami and seeing that, I can have my own too. I don't need to continue with all this education in order for me to have my own. So I tell my kids all the time, especially my youngest son, that it's your choice. Figure out what it is that you want to do, and if that's going to college and going full speed ahead at a great education, I'm all for it. But if you find your passion in something and the education is not needed, then do you. I work for Emory University as my job, and we always have this discussion that I say all the time. Some of these kids are not college ready. They're like, why are y'all here? Y'all here because your parents told you to come here.
Yes.
But they're wasting their money. Because I see these freshmen come in, and I'm like, boo, we don't do teacher-parent conferences in high school.
Right.
In college.
Right.
I mean, in college.
Right.
So it doesn't work like that. You know, the parents get frustrated because their child is not learning. They literally were in high school 2 weeks ago. So it's like you just dropped them off here. Now they're in college, and it's not for them. I get kids all the time that tell me, I don't want to be here.
13th grade.
I don't
Right,
exactly.
Right.
They're like, they don't
love
want to
it.
be here. This is not what they want to do, but because that's how they're raised, that you have to have an education. Not saying getting an education is a bad thing, but in some people, that's just not what it is. You may be able to do what you need to do without spending $80,000 to do it. And if I can save me $80,000,
Right.
Or 100.
Right.
I'm all for it.
Right.
I'm all for it.
So, Dr. Dixon, as an educator, how would you help a student determine if college is the path that they should take or if they should go immediately into something else?
Wow, you know what? I think, and I have this. I'm working at Arlington Christian School. It's a private school, so I see this on both sides. I have the students who are well off and they don't really have to go to college because they're going to take over mom and dad's business, or they've got their parents who've instilled in them, I've owned my own business, so then you must. But then you have the up and coming affluent parents who want their children to go and do better than they could have, and so I want you to go to college. So I see both sides of it. Right now you see the kids who are really dead set on, I want to do entrepreneurship, and you can see those kids right now already with their clothing lines. I mean, it's just so in them. They have no designs on going to college at all because they know that they've been instilled, like you've had that instilled in you, and that you want to go to, you're going to be your own person, you're going to be your own boss. But then you have the other one that if I just work hard and I study really hard and get these great grades, I'm going to get the Georgia Hope Scholarship so I can go and go to this school for free. You know what I mean? So get a Hope Scholarship. So I mean, I see both sides of it. I think it really just boils down to where your passion lies and what it is that you want to do. Do you need an education, a formal education, to pursue that what it is that you most desire? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. In my case, I can definitely see how having an education in several degrees can put me on the correct platform for the things that I choose to do. But that might not be everyone's walk. I don't have to have a degree in fashion design in most cases if I want to go and do some fashion. I just need to know the right person to hook me up to. So it just really just depends on the circumstance and the situation.
So do you all feel that social media has opened up a lot of young people to the idea and the possibility of entrepreneurship, whereas it wouldn't have before?
Definitely.
Hands down.
Yeah, definitely. Because you're seeing people other than the people that are supporting you, other than your mom and dad. Yeah. You have those people, who may be low income and their parents do not have maybe an education or maybe, they're not entrepreneurship. But social media allows these kids to see other people like you that are doing just that. They have their own businesses or they have the education. So you get to see different influences outside of your circle. And I definitely think in that aspect, social media has helped some kids because different influences is definitely a plus.
And it's definitely a very innovative teaching tool. Shayla is taking a graphic design class now. And her teacher, we had a parent-teacher conference about 2 weeks ago, and he was saying how Shayla was telling him all these wonderful things about her business. And I said, well, how about you use the class? Can you help her design some things for her social media? He said, well, that's a good idea. He said, but I don't really know much about Snapchat. I said, well, have Shayla to do a presentation on Snapchat. Not only is that helping her with her project grade, but she's now developing her audience on social media and her business, and it's showing other kids through her business that they can also do the same instead of, because he was saying all the kids are trying to be on Snapchat in the class. I said instead of just socially, participating in the Snapchat world, they can develop their businesses while on Snapchat. So I really love the whole idea about using social media in the classroom and opening them up to entrepreneurship that way, instead of them just putting all their private business and lives on social media and not really understanding the restrictions that go, the limitations that go with that.
So now, can everybody be a makeup artist and a fashion designer and a tattoo artist if they see it on Instagram?
No.
Outside of the passion, you also have to have the skill. What is your skill set? And I had this conversation. Actually, me and Tawana had this conversation not too long ago about I might be doing something in this particular lane, and you might see me doing this and prospering and growing in that lane. But don't feel it's just because you see me doing it, you can jump in my lane and help me drive my car, because it's a little bit different. It's what works for you, and you just really have to find your passion and your skill set. You can't jump in on everybody. Every day of the week, if you ask me to do makeup, you'll always look like a clown. Every day of the week. But there are certain things that I can do, and I just think when you find that thing, your skill set, that's when you prosper and you grow.
I think that's the, I don't want to use negative. What's the euphemism for negative?
That's the challenge.
That's the challenge, see?
It's very good,
That's
Dr.
the challenge.
Wright.
See, keep the doctors close, right?
Thank you, Dr.
Keep the
Wright.
doctors close.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
More reasons to go back to school.
I knew a master's degree wasn't enough.
I guess that's the challenge with, or I guess, I think to get the point, I need to use the word negative. The negative part of social media is Instagram, they see you, they see me, and it's just a picture. It's a snapshot. But what the picture doesn't reveal is the hundreds and thousands of hours before I was shining. And look, oh, you're shining, you're on top. What Instagram or what social media doesn't show is the failures. And the rudimentary skills that you had to learn before you could just Instagram, it's instant. Instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
I can do this. Look,
Absolutely.
he's doing it. He's from my hometown. I can do it. And that's not reality. And also in another, let's just keep it 100. A lot of people are not living the life that they present on social media.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
They need to understand.
I know some people
That's a different show.
personally no, you have a model car. That's not your car. But to someone in Seattle, Washington, who doesn't live in Atlanta,
They
they're
want
like,
it.
I can't wait to come to Atlanta.
How great is the marketing?
Land of opportunity.
Right. A lesson in marketing.
If I got $1
Marketing,
from
this is not personal.
man,
But they always tell you fake it till you make it. Oh, so what does that mean?
that is
Honestly.
bad advice. Bad advice. Don't fake it till you make it, because especially in my industry, you get around people who know. You come around acting like fake it till you make it. It almost
call
like you
you on
glows in the dark. So I'm not an educator. If I come around doctors and try to fake like I'm an educator,
I'm pulling your card every time.
instantly
Right.
you guys pick up on it
They
like
don't know.
he's not an educator,
Right.
So that fake it till you make it thing will get you blacklisted, and you'll never be able to work again in the city.
I think if I would have heard early, enjoy the journey, it would have been better than fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because at that point, I could have been very honest and reflective about the things that I was going through and growing, and people would have saw the true, genuine growth in things. I'm a very transparent person, but just speaking in general, people will understand that it's okay to show the testimony of your growth, other than fake it till you make it. Because I feel like you become what you put out there, and you become this fake, ingenuine person that is not really real about what you're going through, and it can drive you to a form of depression.
It will, because
That's
you're
deep.
trying to live up to this expectations, and
That's
you're
deep.
you're
I don't put this out here, now I have to live up to this
and
every
at some
single
point
time they see
you
me.
hit the wall, because who else are you gonna model to figure
Exactly.
out how to continue to fake it?
Right.
Yes.
You know.
Exactly.
I agree.
That's why that keeping up with the Joneses is not very good. You have to do you. You trying to have the big house and have all of this because so and so has it, and you can't afford that. You do what you can do at that time where you're at in your life, until you can get where you need to be. So that's, like you said, that's the negative part of social media, because we don't see what goes on behind the beat face and the nails done and the jewelry, and you're like, oh,
They don't know that we
got it
haven't
going
slept in 3
on.
days. I slept in 3 days.
I
Then
get
you
that
got to go
from
to your
friends
regular
all the
job.
time at
Yes.
home. Oh, you doing it in Atlanta? I be like, I just got my nails done.
That's all. That's it.
So, Dr. Wright and Ms. Randall, take some time and tell us about each of your children's businesses that you have going and how they balance those with being good students as well.
My son is 11, and he's a new entrepreneur. So he does have a few things going on. He does a radio station called Young Atlanta Lit. And that came about because he's autistic and he went through some bullying in school, and it was kind of like shut him down. So he didn't want to talk much. So we went to the audition with the radio station. And ironically, when you put one of these things in front of his face, he just like
Lights up.
So he ended up winning the audition and getting the spot on the show, and he loves it. It just became a thing. What what he wanted to do, and we found that we figured out what his niche was, and now you can't shut him up. So he does the radio station and he does local hosting. That's awesome. And he's an honor roll A student. The balance is you do what mommy needs you to do at school, and then we have that space to do what you want to do as far as outside of school. And the balance also is that he's not seeing that entrepreneur side in the school. So he gets to be around people like a Shayla and a Mari and Katie and Gray, and we had a whole big event with nothing but kid entrepreneurs. So he was just like, they got their own business, they do that. So now his head is turning.
These are my friends.
Now his head is turning like, I hang with bosses.
Creating that circle that you had.
Creating that circle.
Creating that circle, yeah.
So, I definitely see the difference, because like I said, I didn't have that. So I see that difference when he started to hang around people, his age that had their face on boxes or their face on books, and having their own platforms, and he's a totally different student. So we're able to, make sure we need to do what we do in school, and then on the weekends, kicking it with Keon's taxi driver.
Yes, with Shayla and Amari, for me, I've been a single mom for all of motherhood. So it was really difficult for me to continue to teach within the school system. I am very compassionate, empathetic to kids that are in need. I would spend long hours at the school, and I would have to pay others to go pick up my kids or to tutor my kids. I mean, I'm a teacher. I would pay someone else to tutor my kids, and that was hard for me. I figured out how to include them in my business. They became vice presidents of the Greater Giving Foundation, which is the foundation I started at the school to service kids. But we decided to infuse the arts because they were very artistic kids. With Shayla's business, Cook Me Up a Notch, she says that because of her circle and because of what she saw in me as far as working towards education and also working towards entrepreneurship, she wanted to do the same. So with her, she found her passion in baking, and she taught herself from YouTube how to bake. And she started to ask me, could she bake with, as parents, I mean, we've done cheerleading, we did ballet, we've done everything in the book, and she would always start and stop. So I'm just like, no ma'am, you're not doing that. And she continued to sneak behind my back and take different desserts to school in her lunchbox. I thought they were lunches, but they were desserts. And so she started to take an order form. She took an order form to school. She took the orders. She brought it home. And she's like, I have Valentine orders. And I'm like, you're not doing that. Those kids are not going to pay you. She's like, oh, I got the money. And I was like,
they paid already.
Just like that. And I said, oh, well, I guess you have orders. And when I noticed that she perseveres, and I noticed that her brother would follow right behind her. Like Shayla doing it, he went to school, he drew a picture of Iron Man, he sold the picture. Wow. At the school for $2. I'm thinking he's stealing. I'm like, where do you get the money from? Who do you take the money from? And I think just providing a way in which you can help them understand how education is related to what they want to do. We use STEAM, we use the science, the technology, the engineering, the math, and the business, so that we can develop programs that can also complement their education. Shayla is taking honors 9th grade classes. She's in the 8th grade. And Amari is in the gifted program. So they do a lot, but they're also very excellent students. How we balance that? Well, we're all in therapy. I focus on mental health as well. Sometimes it's really hard for me because it's just us. We do everything as a family. And I really believe in just taking care of self. Sometimes I get so caught up in all of the business that I don't take care of myself. But I am showing them how not to take care of themselves. So I had to reprogram my mind and say, who can I reach out for help? A lot of us, we are all busy and doing the same thing. They do have this circle, but I needed them to have someone outside of me to be able to say, this is what I'm being challenged with right now. This is what my successes are, and have someone outside of me. And so for that, I feel like we're more balanced because we are addressing things that may be closed in, or she may not want to tell me, my daughter, because she doesn't want to fail me. But I need her to understand that thinking things through and solving problems and taking care of herself is just as important. And she can go to her therapist, her counselor, her mentor, and have those people that she can talk to. So balance, self-care, and all those things, all of that come into play.
Wow, I'm like blown away. So I just want to take a moment for the listeners, and I want y'all to understand how this panel came about. I've been having the conversation with other people about education and entrepreneurship, and really because folks were asking me, how could you get your doctorate and then just leave? You know, how did you do that? And it just makes so much sense to me. I know it's the right thing to be doing. But I was on Facebook one night, and Dr. Wright made a post about her daughter's business. And what really blew me away was the subscription option, that you can subscribe and you can receive a box each month of a different dessert to bake with the instructions. And I was like, this is amazing. So I inboxed her, which you're not supposed to do because it's considered creepy to just reach out to people. But I did it anyway and was like, I kind of need you to come on my radio show. I know you don't know me like that, but this is a conversation that needs to be had. I mean, I was just completely blown away. And then she put me in touch with Ms. Randall, and then she added Dr. Dixon. And I knew Wes because we are members of an organization together, and I'm going to bring in his aspect of entrepreneurship as well, because there's something that we overlook a lot. But before I do that, I want to ask Dr. Dixon, so you also have a child entrepreneur. Let's hear about that business.
I have Caden. He's Caden the Great, and last year when he was 8, Caden lost his right leg with a tumor. And it was one of the things that we knew it was going to happen. We did kind of a few other things to try to save his leg, but it was ultimately his decision. He was like, I'm just tired of this. I want to be a kid. Like, I want to be able to do things. Wow. And his first question was, well, will I be able to play? Because he had never played, or done anything like that before, because he was always in extreme pain. And so one of the things that I did was so long story short, he gets his prosthetic leg and he has to start school, and he's very self-conscious about it because he wasn't born this way. He remembers what it was like having two limbs. I mean, vividly remembers. His classmates remember. Everyone in the school remembers what it was like, and he had to come back to school the next year without a leg. And so this was all about me trying to make him feel more comfortable and confident with himself, because there were so many things that he could not do, and now there's so many things that he can do. And so writing a book with him was a way to help remind him of all the things that are different now because he's different. And so writing Caden the Great, which is the name of the book, Caden the Great and a Sinister Lunch Lady, which is out November 11th, was one of the things that we did to kind of help him get ready to accept that he's different, and for other people to accept that he's different, because people look at him and if you don't see him without pants on, you don't even know. But then when he has on shorts, you know, it takes people aback because they don't really know how to act and they don't know how to approach him and what to do. And so writing this book was just really therapeutic for him and for me, and for our whole family who kind of got involved with it, because we were able to look at our challenge, take it, how it changed our whole life. It was a serious trial, but we were able to turn it into triumph, and that's kind of what we're doing with that. So Kate and the Great and the Sinister Lunch Lady, this is just a whole thing about a little boy who can do anything, regardless of what his physical difference is, or any type of difference. And at the same time, he's a straight A student with his disability. The year that he had his amputation, he was a straight A student through that entire thing. So it just kind of shows you that it's what you make up in your mind to be that you will eventually become. And all of my children have names like that. Like my daughter is Anaya the Amazing. She'll be 16. And then my other son, he's Logan the Magnificent. And they truly embody these names. It's what we speak into their lives that they ultimately become. And it wasn't until after the book cover came out, he wanted to look just like his character. And so I couldn't get him to wear his glasses, but as soon as his book cover, Mommy, I need my glasses. You know, and the character on the book cover has his pants leg rolled up, and he wants to embody that, so he'll roll his pants leg up because he needs everybody to see that he's Caden the Great. And so for me, that was therapy. It was therapy for us, but then it was also a way for him to build a business and show that he's going to have to capitalize, because this is going to be his life. So why not capitalize on what you're going to be forever? And so that was it for us. That was it. This is who you are, and this is how you're going to be. And instead of having people look at you and take pity and oh my God, you know, look at him. Let me look at you and like, look at this kid. Look what he can do. And so we just turned that whole thing around, because you're not going to pity him. So we turned it all the way around.
Wonderful.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for bringing it's amazing. So I'm hearing you all bring up some topics that I hadn't even really considered. You talking about the mental health aspect, which is important, obviously, in entrepreneurship, and while you're trying to balance that with your kids' education. What I wanted Wes to talk about is another important aspect of entrepreneurship that and he will expound upon, is customer service. And how much do you think, even for people who study business and entrepreneurship in school, how prevalent is customer service in those studies?
Well, it's the people that are coming into the industries to be entrepreneurs take zero consideration for customer service and customer experience. Let's be honest, most budding entrepreneurs, they're more concerned about the product or service that they provide and how can I make money. That's it. And is that a bad thing? No, it's not a bad thing. You know, if you're in business, your goal should be to make money. But a critical component of business is creating a customer experience for those customers that are going to be patronizing you, because like we all know, we're all business owners. Repeated loyal customers are what keep you afloat.
That's it.
And if you create a customer experience that is just bar none, you can not only compete with the big boys, but you can win. If your customer base knows that when I come to her shop, it's just the experience is just like nothing I can ever experience at a Walmart or at a big store. If it's personalized, then that will keep that loyal customer there. And in slow seasons, it's the loyal customers that keep you afloat.
So Wes, what can schools and programs be doing to help teach customer service or to incorporate it into other fields of study?
Well, this is just my honest, and I am a product of the public school system. I'm matriculated through 12 years of public schools, so this is not a diss to public schools. This is just calling it what it is. The public school system is not interested in teaching entrepreneurs. They want you to be slaves, and that's by design. We can't have people thinking outside the box. I think we're going to see a customer service component. It would have to be through the private school sector. It will not be in the public schools, because they want to raise workers and a little bit of chiefs, but a lot of Indians. So we're not going to see that. And I'm only speaking, I've never went to private school, so I can only talk about public school. And I have 12 years of public school, so I know they're not interested in teaching leaders. They want to teach followers. I even remember when I went back home after college and I learned, some stuff about African American studies, and I went back to my social studies teacher, and I was like, "Did you know that blah blah blah? This isn't true." and the teacher was like, "Yeah, I knew that."
Right.
And I was amazed. I was like, "Why would you teach us something that you know was false?"
Right.
Because the curriculum said that's what we had to teach.
Yes.
And if in order for me to keep my job, I had to do this. But I was flabbergasted. I was like, "What?" So I couldn't do that.
Right.
Teach a lie.
Right.
That's true.
Even though you know
That's
it's a lie.
If I knew it was a lie, I couldn't do that. So
that's where that red tape comes.
Yeah,
in.
that's exactly.
You have to
Absolutely.
teach what's on that paper.
my point, where it will not happen in the
Right.
public school. It would
Right.
have to be in private schools.
Or a program that comes into the school.
Yes.
That, it's voluntary for you if you want to actually go to.
This is true.
So it's going to be up to other avenues to make sure that students are getting full access to entrepreneurship, mental health, self-care.
Homeschooling is becoming a trend.
It
because
really
of that
is.
very reason. And I will be pulling my kids out next year for that very reason.
Interesting. Are your kids currently in public or
They are
private?
currently in public school. Principal very supportive, but it is a couple of teachers that don't understand. I mean, she had an opportunity to present at the Rainbow Coalition on Thursday. We had teachers that weren't, supportive of that, and so even if I communicated it, so we have to get through all of that red tape. They don't excuse entrepreneurship. Things that you're doing in business as a student worker. If you're out of school, I can't provide you a doctor's excuse. She was at a business conference.
Right.
So those things are not policy to approve for absence.
It's not an excuse absence.
My son, I got a notice from the social worker saying if he was out one more time, that would be like a truancy matter or something like that.
Wow.
So it's really hard because he's still, it's like a field trip for us. He's learning.
Right.
He's still
He's learning
building.
more.
He's learning
Exactly.
more.
And it should be some kind of provision where it's like, okay, is what they're going to be absent from school for something that can benefit them in the future, or something that's considered educational? They're going to an educational forum, or they're going to a business symposium or whatever.
Right.
They're not getting it in school, but that's definitely something that can be considered on their
As a
curriculum, or
supplement.
as a supplement, or something they can get half a grade
I've
for.
even reached out and
It's not
said,
an unexcused absence.
if we need to connect it to a standard, I'm willing to work on an individual plan for them. If it's something that it can be a substitute for a project maybe, or a grade, let me know. I'm willing to design whatever program it is that she needs to present to whatever school system to say what she's doing is related to whatever standard it is that she's missing that day, or whatever lesson you're missing. So we need to be more open to parental involvement as well. We talk about parental involvement a whole lot, but there's different forms of parental involvement.
That's right.
I want my child to be successful, so therefore if you need me to do something extra to help you differentiate her instruction in this way, then I'm open to doing that.
And we know that differentiation is one of the buzzwords right now.
Sick of it.
Personalized learning. Personalized learning as well. So,
Right.
and everything that you're saying could definitely be used for personalized learning. So as the schools are catching on and they're implementing that, I don't see how anyone could really have a problem with what any of your children are doing. But I do understand because they haven't had a precedent for it. So it's nowhere on the books of what do you do when a child has a business, because it's rare.
Right.
It is rare. And for me, being a private school administrator, I've also been a public school administrator. But then my kids, they go to public school.
Okay.
So they don't go to the school that I'm at for different reasons, but for different reasons, because I want them to have a full-on exposure to education, because I do like that. There's a back end to that public school and private school thing. is where the standards are not mandatory, or the curriculum is not mandatory. You don't want anybody just teaching random stuff. And so there's a caveat in between that, where you don't want them just teaching off the top of their, off the top of their head just for anything. You want them to get the things that they need to be successful. But I do see from the time that with students that attend my school, I do see the benefit of them going out, because a lot of them go out and do different things, go for a week to vacation with their family to different countries or different things like that. Things that as a private school we celebrate that, because that is on the job training. You all know that if you've ever had a job, that you don't learn that job until you do that job.
Correct.
Right? And so exposing the children to things like trips to Europe, or to go and see the Grunion Run, or different things like that on beaches. Those things are important to their overall development. So for me, I don't know exactly how long we're going to stay in the public school sector at all. It might be better suited for us to do some type of cyber school or homeschooling. All the kind of kids that we know that kind of do the entrepreneurship, we see them excel with that homeschooling and home learning. So it just really depends on what fits your student.
There are a lot of famous entrepreneurs who didn't go to college, but a lot of their children are now in college. Why do you think they have chosen to steer their children in that path, as opposed to bringing them into whatever their businesses are?
Well, I want Shayla to have the college experience. Socially, she sees, she wants to follow my footsteps, but I feel like she'll be more equipped for things. I mean, she can run her business while she's in college. She has a double dose, I feel, of success up under her. I feel like I would like her to have, I don't really know why, but I would really love for her to have the college experience. I want her to have those memories and that social environment, that camaraderie, and then I know it's things that I haven't taught her or don't know if she's missing. It's a level of self development that I gained during my college years that I feel like she could use, anyone could use. So I feel like in that way, I would love for her to go to college. If she choose not to, I wouldn't fight her on it, but I would love for her to go. I would love for Amari to go to college.
When I hear people say they regret going to college, I always wonder, what did you experience?
What happened to you?
I've never heard that. What?
It's not, I wouldn't say I learned the most in college. I definitely learned some things, of course, but it's the exposure.
It is.
Right. And being able to meet people from other backgrounds and getting different perspectives. It's that aspect of it that I could never trade for anything.
Right.
So it's hard for me to hear people
I
say,
could go back to undergrad.
Yeah.
I worked like crazy in undergrad. I did not experience, and that's probably one of the reasons why I want Shayla to go, because I did not experience any of the so-called, social outings, parties, all that type of stuff, and I worked crazy in college, and I'm still working. So I want them to have a better, options in life, because it's not easy when you don't have that foundation, even of wealth, like around you. Building entrepreneurs now, even with the college degree, I can use my knowledge as much as I possibly can to help me build and brand them. But even some of the things that his program teaches about, like customer service and understanding how to command that awesome customer experience, all those things I didn't know about. I knew about it by walking in Chick-fil-A and saying,
"Oh, they got great customer service."
I want to say my pleasure, and people say, "Wow, like yes, it was a pleasure," and come back. But how do you learn those things when a lot of times in my community, west side of Atlanta, you walk into an establishment and it's like you owe them something. It's like, so you gain this attitude like, you need to buy from me because you need me and I don't need. No, we need each other to grow this thing. And just, I don't know, just having a smile on your face and understanding the purpose of this smile is to let you know that I appreciate you. And the only way I'm going to be able to grow is if you love me. If you love me. And we don't get those messages a lot of times in the community that I grew up in. So I do want them to have the experience to define herself outside of me. I want her and Amari to know that they have so many options and they have an opportunity to change their minds and learn so much. I learned so much about myself going to Spelman. I learned the opposite of what I thought I was going to learn. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
And because I grew up in a black neighborhood, I grew up in Fifth Ward, Herndon Homes, right next door to the Dome. We were in and out of homelessness. We were constantly battling and always looking for opportunities to gain some type of finances so that we could just survive. But what I want to ask you is, when you grow up in an environment like I explained, for me, earning my degree, my doctoral level degree, I hit a brick wall because I no longer had models of wealth building or academic advancement or whatever it may be around me. I got lost somewhere in the degree. I understood that on one end I was this entrepreneur, and on the other end I was this, so-called educated woman. But then I got lost on how to use that education to advance the entrepreneurship, and I felt that maybe it was because education in that way doesn't allow you to think outside the box in order to be as creative as you need to be in entrepreneurship. But for me, I didn't really understand. I felt like the savviness that you needed in business, the wealth building that you needed, the knowledge of it. How would you tie the two together? How would you suggest that someone like us that are coming out of education, we have these degrees, and we're stepping into entrepreneurship, how do we step beyond that degree and really use that degree to build wealth in entrepreneurship and business?
Well, the way you would do that, in my opinion, is I think a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up in the theory. Like, who do you prefer? Someone who's read 1,000 books about putting out a fire, or a firefighter who's put out 1,000 fires? Quickly, who's never read a book but has done 1,000 fires. So it's important to do both. You have the theory as well as the implementation as you go. So a lot of people just, well, I'm gonna just grind. I'm gonna get A's, and come out, and this is not what they said in the book. So you have to implement both, and as you climb. So it's not just all one or all the other. Both are important. I think that's how you would do that, as well as learning financial literacy. That's imperative. Another thing that they don't teach in public schools.
No,
that's by design.
That's what I want.
That's the truth.
That's by design. No. We don't want you to learn how to manage your money. We want you to swipe your card. Debt is good. It's the rubbish that we're teaching the kids.
I think that's definitely the gap between education and entrepreneurship. Is because with education, it's just books. Even when you go into college, it's books. But how many people come out of college with bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctor's degrees, and can't find a job?
Yeah.
That's true.
They can't. They don't have the experience. But they have all this education. I was in honors classes, and this and that, and I have a doctor's degree, and I'm unemployed. So that experience is not closing that gap between education and either going into entrepreneurship or even going into corporate America. There's a big gap that education is not giving our kids. Even in high school, going into college, nobody's going into these high schools telling these kids how to go to college.
That's
just
right.
dropping your kids out freshman year, and they so clueless. They don't know. And then the parents sitting home waiting on the professor to call them and tell them that your child failing.
Right.
That ain't happening. But there's no connection, and there needs to be some type of connection. I remember when people from colleges used to come to the schools, and you rarely really see that anymore. Teaching these kids how to be a freshman. Or if this is something you really want to do. And I think, with us that work in the college sector, it'll be a lot more helpful if the kids had that key word, option. Do you have an option to be here? No, my mama said I had to go. You gonna fail.
Right.
You gonna fail.
Yeah.
So bottom line, panel, do degrees still matter? each one of you in just a few seconds.
So degrees matter if if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to be a doctor, if you're going to be a pilot, a judge. I mean, an attorney. There's some occupations where you can't get around you have to have a degree. However, there's some occupations where you go to school for 4 years and you're a theater major. You come out and you could have saved that $100,000. Speaking to my people, our people, a lot of us like to jump and say, well, the founder of Facebook, he dropped out of college, or Bill Gates dropped out of college, or Steve Jobs dropped out of college. But the interesting thing is, they went to college.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
figure out that they were dropping out.
I had to go before you drop out.
The interesting thing is they all went to college before they realized, okay, this ain't for me, but they went to college. So it's important, speaking for our people, that because we're automatically at a deficit, like our kids we have to drill, it's not an option. You're gonna die if you don't go to college. Now when you get there, you can realize this ain't for me, but you have to go there, because some of the most important people in my life I've met in college.
Yes,
and what college is college is a microcosm of this real world. Like you said, you learn to deal with people from different backgrounds. And I tell you this, man, one thing about college that you gain, that I see this all the time, that people who've not been college educated, they don't understand a lot of empathy and social emotional what is the word I'm looking for? Not social emotional. It's
help him out, doctor.
Help me out, doctor.
I'm trying to see where he's going.
It's I'm having a brain freeze right now, but there's things that you just learn in college that people who don't have a college education, they just don't get. I deal with that all the time with people who are pretty much intelligent, but in regards to problem solving skills,
persevering through struggle.
They just don't get that.
Why are you doing all of that?
You just don't get it, and I clearly see it when I am able to draw the line. I'm like, okay, my college educated friends can do this, and the ones who are not college educated just don't get it, and it's because of school. It's school.
Okay.
I think for me, education and degrees are completely situational. Sometimes, depending upon what I'm doing and what I'm trying to get you to believe in, my degrees go before me through the door.
Yes.
They're the thing that get me to the open door to seat to talk to you, because you're looking at my credentials.
Yes.
Oftentimes, once I get in there, we don't talk anything about my credentials, but they go before me. And so I do believe that education is completely situational. And for some things, I was always a writer. I've always loved and adored kids, and I didn't go to school to learn that thing. That skill set was further cultivated in college, but I didn't go to school to learn to do those things. But when I get in certain situations, I can say, hey, I have a degree in this, and I also can do this, and I have a degree in this as well. And they go before me, and then you get to listen to what I got to say, because my degrees walked through the door before I did.
Yes.
So it really just depends on the situation.
The word I was looking for was emotional intelligence.
There you go.
Okay,
Howard Gardner.
Yes.
Emotional intelligence. Yes.
I mean, people who are not
now because you've just given a buzzword.
Yes.
People who are not college educated or not higher education just don't get that. And this is not a diss to people who didn't go to school.
Right.
But I can clearly see when it comes to emotional intelligence and tapping into that, my friends who are not college educated and the ones who can't, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
They just don't get it. What would normally just be something that we can talk about, those who don't have that, it's an argument.
Right.
Like, why are you so defensive?
Right.
You don't have to agree.
Right.
Why are you mad?
Yeah, why are you big mad?
I mean, angry. You know?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Randall.
For me, I have to piggyback on my friend there and definitely say it's situational. I think it's a conversation that you have, if you can have with your parents, a conversation that you have with yourself. and figure out where you're going before you do it. Is college a great experience? Heck yeah. Is it an expensive experience if you don't do it right? Heck yeah. So I definitely think, to each his own. If you figure out your path, figure out what you want to do, there's a cheaper way of getting there. If college is where you need to be, if you decided that I'm going to have the best job in the world, then you need to go to college. If you decided I'm going to be the best boss in the world, then you need to boss up and do what you need to do.
Very good.
For me, I think making that decision, piggyback on all three of the panelists, but it's a decision that has to be something that is also instilled in the early childhood stages. I feel like it is parents' job, also early education teachers, to tap into the gifts that kids possess, helping them to identify what it is that they're great at, what are their learning styles, and teaching to that, so that when they get to the point in their education where it's time to make that decision on whether or not they want to tap into their gifts and become entrepreneurs right out of high school, or if they need to obtain that first degree, or if they need to go to get their second degree, they have done enough self-reflection, they have got enough instruction drove into them that they understand this is what I'm great at, and this is the research that I need to do behind my gift, so that I could know, does this deserve my time in a college arena, or does this deserve me another option for me as far as going straight into business, looking for internships, this, that, and the other. So for me, it's all about us that are circled around kids early on, teaching to their strengths, taking enough time to understand the way they think, those multiple intelligences, and understanding, okay, this child is horrible in reading, let's just be real, but they can do a math problem, like the quicker, flash of an eye, whatever you may say. Shayla is awesome in accounting, but she's always had trouble with decoding. I knew that. I knew that early on. I knew that I could tackle the things that she loves to do through math. So and then the weaknesses that she supposedly had, the way that she would teach her brother to read was the same things that I built upon when I said, okay, she struggles with decoding, I'm going to have her to break down words and teach her brother how to read. So she grew in that area. Now she's using those same skills in her business. When we're out selling products, I say, Shayla, how much change I got to give back? It's just little stuff like that I had to pay attention to continue to help grow her passion. Now she wants to go to school, to college, to be an accountant. Not just a culinary chef. She's learning that now. She's gaining a mentorship with that now. She don't have to spend money on going to culinary school. We weeded that out. Now awesome. She wants to be an accountant. And that's something she may have to get a degree for. So it's definitely situational. It's definitely tapping into multiple intelligences. And it's also a community-based thing. We have to get involved in these kids and actually show them that it's possible for them to dream. So many kids that I get in contact with, whether it's through the school system or through my nonprofit, they have no imagination whatsoever when it comes, draw me a picture. What do you think about this story? How do you feel? I don't know. But they get on that phone and the tablet. We have to help them understand things in life that they're interested in, break it down, give them a foundational basis for it so they can understand why. Let them ask why. So at that, with all that being said, it's definitely situational. It's definitely all of us helping them to be able to get to that point, to be able to decide with a clear mind, reflective mind, and understanding what their gifts are so that they can make the best decision for their lives.
Y'all, this was amazing today. Thank you so much for an outstanding, candid conversation on education and entrepreneurship. Do degrees still matter? You've heard from my panel, so you can decide for yourself. Before we close out today, I'm going to have each one of my guests tell you what they have going on, any upcoming events, books, products that you'd like for my viewers to know about.
Yes, well, with Shayla, we have launched our Bakeology curriculum. It is a STEAM curriculum that infuses baking and science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. She's going up for a pitch contest on November 4th with Toffee International. So we need everybody to buy tickets. The ticket prices are on toffeeinternational.com, and you can buy her subscription boxes at cookmeupanotch.com.
You hold that up so everybody can see.
This is the subscription box here. You can see it. It's the Sweet Dreams kit. It has, let's open it up. It has a recipe with STEAM components infused lessons, and all of your ingredients, they are pre-measured and color-coded. Each month, $24.99, you get a different recipe.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
We also wrote a book together as a duo. It's called City of Dreams Atlanta, and it's not just it's about her culinary experience, but it also integrates African American history. You learn about the wonderful Auburn Avenue and how Joseph E. Lowry is very important to our history and our civil rights movement. You have comprehension questions in the back, a journal, also a recipe. So please check this out, City of Dreams Atlanta at cookmeupanotch.com.
And now y'all see why I was creeper on her face. All right, Miss Randall.
Woo. We don't have all that going on.
Right.
You gotta say something about that magazine.
Yes.
You can definitely check me out at My Time Magazine on Instagram, Facebook, and everything. Our first print issue is actually being printed now and will drop in 2 weeks.
Super excited.
Which they're both featured in. They're both on the cover. So check out My Time Magazine for that. Everything
Is
else.
it my time?
Yeah, My Time Magazine. And everything else I do is just Tawana Randall at tawanarandall.com.
All right.
Okay, so we have Kaden the Great and the Sinister Lunch Lady. It's going to be our launch party and book signing will be on November 11th at the Open for Business co-working space on Auburn Avenue. That's going to be from 3:30 to 6:30 on the 11th, so come on out. But you can also pre-order the books on kadenthegreat.com. That's Kaiden, thegreat.com. You can order, you can subscribe to our website. You can ask Kaden questions about different things in his life. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook on Lakeisha P. Dixon and Kaden at Kaden Dixon. And let's see. Oh, follow my webpage on LakeishaPDixon.com. We also I'm featured writer for other writers as well. So after Kaden the Great, we've got a book about students or kids with autism and how that works. And we're working with Keon's book. And it's going to be a graphic novel that's coming out. Kaden the Great will have a book number 2 that's going to be dropping this spring. So we're doing amazing things. And I also own Parker Anderson in Richmond, Atlanta. It's an after-school enrichment program that services several schools in the Atlanta area.
Man, these are powerful sisters. All right, well, I have nothing going on.
Wes, you have a lot going on.
So the most important thing that's coming down the pipeline is the BYOB, which is it's an event presented by Hustle University, which can be found at hustleu.org. And I'll be presenting along with the slew of other presenters. Now, what makes this event so special is that, for myself, I know I can speak for myself, and I am the weakest link. I'm proud to say I'm the weakest link of all the presenters. And my speaking fees, I start at $500, right? So you're going to have me and a plethora of other speakers that are 10 times better than me.
Okay. When is this?
This is in November. You can go to Hustle
November 2nd
November
and
2nd
All
and
right.
3rd.
That's my birthday.
We're going to learn how to get our hustle up.
Come on out.
Yeah,
And
lots of people born November 1st. Lots of people.
Baby, I'm November 23rd.
All right.
Happy birthday when it comes. But this is going to have, for the price point of not even $500, but you're going to have me and a plethora of other speakers, again, presenting on their their subject matter, they're experts in. Of course, I'll be presenting on customer experience and ways to enhance that, and we have a lot of others. You can go to the website hustleyou.org. Also, you can follow me at Wes Walters, W-E-S-S Walters,
Yes, I
on
found
all
it.
social media platforms. And of course, the book, Customer Experience, 3 Pillars to Enhance Customer Experience. You can find that on my website as well. And that's what's the most important thing coming up in November.
All right, great. Y'all, I had a bad customer service experience one day, and I immediately called Wes and said, you need to go to this organization and check them out because they need some help. So,
and I went down there, and I went. So I went the following day, and apparently it was so bad that corporate was there.
Oh,
Wow.
When I went, so it wasn't just
It wasn't just-
it wasn't just you. Corporate was there.
Wow.
And I did something that I offer. I do undercover
Secret shopper.
secret shopping.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like a secret shopper, and corporate was not happy. You could tell that this organization was probably had a lot of complaints, and I observed corporate just there. It was 3 representatives from corporate, and it was almost like like you're about to lose this if you keep this up. So when I went, corporate was there, and corporate was at the checkout, at the point of sale, in the parking lot,
Oh, wow.
and all through the restaurant. I mean,
Wow,
well,
they were getting
now we know it's a
makeover.
restaurant, but yeah, corporate was there. So that organization
Well, that's
obviously
unfortunate, but I'm glad to know it just wasn't me.
it just wasn't.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it wasn't.
You know.
No.
Because
No,
I don't ever like to paint someone in a bad light.
And my intention was to go in. What I normally do is I go in and observe, do like the secret shopping thing, and then present to the business owner. Hey, these are, you're presenting them with a SWOT analysis and say these are your weaknesses and how I can help. But because corporate was there, I just couldn't.
Gotcha.
Corporate was like a bulldog everywhere.
Okay.
So.
All right, y'all. And y'all can catch me. I'm going to be busy the next couple of weeks. So I'll be at the Georgia STEM Forum on October 23rd and 24th. So for all of my STEM educators, I would love for you to join me for a session. Also, if I have any people in San Antonio, I will be at the National Youth at Risk Conference presenting there. And then at the beginning of November, I will be at Hustle University's BYOB conference, which is actually the event where I officially kicked off my own entrepreneurial journey last year.
Wow.
So it is
Congratulations.
a great learning experience. Thank you all for joining us today on the Dr. Marquita Blade Show, Candid Conversations that Create Change. We'll see you next time.
All right.
In the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.